Actually, no, not really. I am just a normal person from Singapore trying to shoot porn.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you mentioned Singapore. Are you from Sing? Were you born in Singapore?
Yes, I'm born in Singapore. I'm still from Singapore. I am figuring out how to leave Singapore for greener pastures in the industry, but
Well, is there a big industry in Singapore?
no, actually, porn in Singapore is illegal.
Legal or illegal?
Illegal. Yes,
Oh,
it's not legal to so the law states that you can only stream and watch porn, but you're not allowed to download, you're not allowed to own, you're not allowed to distribute porn. And the other law is that you're not allowed to create any obscene materials. Yeah.
so what qualifies for obscene? If you show me your boobs, is that obscene?
Yes. Very obscene.
If you say something naughty or dirty, is that obscene?
It could be. It could be considered obscene.
So
Yes.
what is television like that? It must be really boring.
It is. Television is local television is mostly either gags, sitcoms. Sometimes there's some drama, but it's never deep.
Right.
So entertainment is pretty much online. So everyone subscribes to Disney, Netflix.
Right.
We're all on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and that's how most Singaporeans get their entertainment. If not, um, we're out playing sports, like just going in the malls,
Right.
just
But
walking around, sitting at cafes. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Because the adult material is illegal, is it more popular?
Um,
Because it's a naughty
ad
thing?
adult materials have always been popular. Yeah, I guess people just figure out a way to uh like circumvent,
Right.
or what's the word? Yeah. So that they don't get caught in some sense. So sex sells. So the people with the hottest bodies, even though you're clothed, they get the most attention on Instagram. So they sell like all these influencers, like they
Right.
sell lots of products very well. There is a whole genre of um religious religious taboo that comes out
Right.
from there as well. And so like that kind of adult material is quite interesting when you realize that um people who are the most um like people who are very conservative are the ones with the most
But
the
the,
craziest things in their head. Yeah.
the people that are conservative, is that a generational thing? Like my
No.
generation, I'm older, but my generation, it's even in America, it's like it's not necessarily the best thing in the world. But
Hmm.
younger generations now, it's more relaxed.
Okay. I guess so. With I probably because of technology, the
Right.
internet and all that kind of things. So, as much as I look young, I am of that age where I knew I was on the cusp of the invention of the internet and
Right.
how the internet blew up with porn.
Right.
So I know DVDs, I know magazines, and those were very difficult to get in Singapore. But like you said, yes, with the onset of like, the internet and now social media being just so rampant, um, access is definitely getting easier. And
Right.
so, yeah, so like the younger generation, it would seem like they're more lax. It's more relaxed. People are more accepting and things like that. So I guess in some sense it's a good change. Yeah, but we'll see how far it goes.
But adult material aside, there's a lot of influencers, and I use the word loosely,
Hmm.
that are really pushing it on Instagram with skimpy dresses and skimpy outfits. And how does the Singapore government look at that?
Oh, so the Singapore government it's a funny thing. So we have a creator in Singapore. So he unfortunately got into trouble with the law. Because like I said, it's illegal. So there were a few people who also got into trouble because Singapore recently repealed a law that made gay sex illegal. But before that, there were a lot of conservative Christians that were anti-LGBT. They were really against the gay community. So when OnlyFans blew up in 2020, 2021, um, he got reported a lot. So the police had to step in and do something. Because, like, if you're the most visible, you're going to get the most flack. And unfortunately, like him being young, he's talked about it in his own like interviews and
Right,
podcasts
right,
too. Yeah, like he was dumb. Like when the police told him to not
right,
access his account and stuff, he still went back in and he challenged the police.
right,
So it became a huge issue. All of us creators got scared. Um, and some of us were actually pulled in, me included, to the police headquarters to be sat down and, shown
right,
pictures of our own accounts. And we're like, can you explain what's going on? And we're like, yeah, at that point, you're like, shit, tell the truth and everything.
right,
And so long story short, the government knows, the police is like monitoring the situation. As long as it doesn't get out of hand, the police, like at least in Singapore, the police have better things to do. Yeah, and they acknowledge that this exists. And because OnlyFans is still behind a paywall, it's still very much subscription based. It is a streaming site. You don't get to download materials. They close their eyes, like with regards to that. Yeah. Hopefully they don't come after the creators because that's the other
right,
side of the coin. Like you have to create before it's uploaded and
right,
streamed, right? Yeah. So um like essentially if we lay low, we don't create we aren't a nuisance, we don't,
right.
make things difficult for them, they're not gonna pursue like the matter. Yeah, because thankfully corruption in Singapore is not a thing. Yeah. So
And
we're fortunate in that sense. Yeah.
how what is the Singapore government? I hope I say this properly. If not, I apologize.
Yeah.
What is their perception of the trans community? It,
Ah, it. Sorry, you were continuing.
no, 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 no. I'm sorry.
Oh, um. Okay, so the trans community, the Singapore government acknowledges the trans community. Unfortunately, it is very much like the US. Okay, it's my worry is that the US is going to become like Singapore and then worse. So in Singapore, the trans community is visible. A lot of us are still trying our best to hide in plain sight. So it is still very much like cis passing. To be cis passing is the biggest privilege you can have. Everyone tries to pass as best as possible, blend in, stay low, be hidden. Um, so there are groups of people who are okay with trans people accepting. There are other groups of people. Usually they are guys who are more vocal and are more uncouth. They will take it as they will use it for their entertainment as a way to ridicule like the community. So bullying is still rampant. Um, Recently we had a huge issue in Parliament where the government just passed a law on workplace discrimination. And you would think that's good because like they're saying that there should not be any discrimination in the workplace. So in that sense, like DEIA is being pushed to the forefront, but there's this exclusion that says that this law does not include sexual orientation and gender identity, which is yeah. So pretty much I was a teacher before I transitioned, and I could no longer teach because I transitioned. Yeah. And that's very it's a sad situation that but I guess it's worked out for good because I found another passion.
It,
Yeah.
is the Singapore government democratic like it's supposed to be in America? I'm not saying it is in America, but like it's supposed to be.
It is a lot of people consider Singapore a social democracy. Yeah. So there's still one party rule. Um there are voices of opposition. They're not silent. They're not also actively being silenced. So I guess that is a good thing. But there are many things that the Singapore government has done, the ruling party has done to stifle, um, to deter this growth of opposition. And a lot of times, I I'm not the best person to speak about the political landscape of Singapore,
Right.
but from my experience, it seems like a lot of policies that the Singapore government implements, um, they they do have an overarching idea of what they want Singapore to look like, and it's when is a good time or idea to push some policies. So, 2021, 2022 was the year, I forgot. 22 or 2023.
Okay.
Yes, that was the year when we finally repealed that bill of outlawing gay sex. And it took 5 whole years for um people to be pushing much harder
Right.
against this whole conservative lens of, oh, gays are bad, it's contagious, we should not promote this
Excellent.
LGBT lifestyle in our society. And then it became really quick with the onset of COVID and with people um then getting lots more like social media and influence, and people started speaking out even more. The government said, okay, fine, it's time. Yeah, we can do this now. Yeah. And it's uh it's also seen as a way to like appease appease the LGBT community, and to like get the get the support of the LGBT community for the ruling party. Yeah, so there are many it's it's many faceted. So there isn't, like, you couldn't really say that like the government is um not listening to the people.
Right.
I guess it's just when is the right time to appease each group so that they get to stay in power the longest. So yeah, democracy still works in Singapore as of now. Gerrymandering is a total different can of worms,
Yeah.
but yeah. So
But
it's a complex thing in Singapore too.
government aside,
Yeah.
society in general,
Hmm.
how does it affect the trans community, LGBT? Are they acceptable? Do they look at people differently?
Mm. The young people, the ones who are 35 and below, they are more accepting than the people who are, say, in their 50s and like um yeah, so past their 50s. There are small groups of people who are accepting, but like in that older generation. But unfortunately, a lot of them are, oh yeah, I have friends who are gay, I'm not against them. But if my child becomes, yeah, and it's always that problem. Then there's also the bunch of people who are conservative and
Right.
religious that's always pushing back and always against it because our religious scripture says this and things
Right.
like that. Yeah. So there will always be these people who are against the LGBT community, and until someone powerful or influential enough starts telling them that, hey, maybe you interpreted scripture wrongly,
Right.
and a bunch of like charismatic people then gather together and say like, yeah, the religion should get along with the times and blah blah blah. That's when people will finally um wisen up, I guess, in that sense. Like in the same way how in the US slavery, the emancipation, women's rights and all that kinds of stuff, um, all came from a rejection of like how people used religious texts against
Right.
groups of people,
Right.
to marginalize groups of people. I think it'll take a few more years, hopefully not decades, yeah, before people start like, yeah, maybe like the way we've been using like scripture has been, yeah, hopefully we'll never know.
But
Yeah.
if you go shopping for groceries,
Uh-huh.
can you kind of notice people are noticing you, or do you just blend in regularly? Is there ever that type of anything?
Yeah, so cis passing, like blending in is a privilege that I have. So people will just look at me and they'll go from head to toe. So at least I know that's them wondering why I'm tall. Yeah, because I'm 6 foot. And in Asia, the average height of like even the males, it's like 5'7", 5'8", about there. Yeah.
No.
And so when people like look at me, they're like, wow, this girl is tall. So that's good. That's the first thing and sometimes the only thing that they think about. Yeah. So when I was like like
Right.
before I had this privilege of passing, yeah, I had really horrible remarks, slurs thrown at me because they noticed, and it was frightening at times. Um, because you don't get a you don't there's no law that protects you against like discrimination.
Right.
Um, so it is fearful. Like trans people, we do fear for our safety. A lot of trans women and trans men still use the bathroom of their sex that they were born with, just because they don't want to cause a scene, because they're afraid of the backlash. And only the people who are like cis passing, we have our privilege that we're able to live out our gender. Yeah. So before before I started having this cis passing privilege, yeah, it was scary being like just out walking around. So yeah. And
And
I fear that's like why I said I fear that like the US might be moving in that direction again and worse. Yeah, with all the transvestigations that are happening right now, with was it Texas? Yeah, Texas like trying to get a bill that's going to essentially tell every single trans person that you have committed a crime of impersonation. People trying to investigate and check the genitals of every single woman, which is like it's not just trans people they're after. They're trying to control women again. Yeah, so it's scary.
and, and if someone commits a violent act against a trans person in Singapore, does the government actively pursue an investigation, or is it just kind of, yeah, I'm sorry if that
Yes,
sounded
the
bad, but
no. It's perfectly a logical question to follow. Because yes, the police do not take sides. So I'm confident in the Singapore police force that they will pursue this matter. They will um apprehend whoever was, like whoever did this heinous act. But the thing I'm worried about is how they'll frame it, how they will, instead of it being a hate crime, they'll probably allude it to something else. If anything, the media is the problem of the story, where the media will actually sensationalize, purposefully misgender the trans person involved. And yeah, so there have been many reports in the newspaper where um where the news just sensationalizes the the whole issue of being trans, simplifying it to being being something like cross-dressing, overplaying the fact that it was a male person like cross-dressing who did this. And it's never an acknowledgement of this person is trans. Yeah, and there's a reason why, because there is a chief editor in the newspaper who is staunchly Christian and very anti-LGBT. Yeah, so it just betrays the fact that like what you believe will show in your work. So because you just cannot fathom and you're unwilling to change and to learn new things, you will always have that old perception and exacerbate the problem that exists. So people will always like lap up such sensationalized news and like, yeah, see all of you cross dressers, and pretty much it invalidates the whole like trans community. So yeah. So nothing wrong with the police, but it's like the perception that the media decides to push. So yeah.
I mean, do they have strip clubs and
No,
prostitution and all
no,
that stuff in
no,
Singapore?
no.
None of it?
Strip clubs, no, not at all. It's obscene. But
What,
prostitution isn't illegal, but very often the police unfortunately targets a lot of trans people. That's when the news comes in as well. When you have a whole community of so brothels are there are some legal brothels. Um, there are people who are working, of course, illegally, and sometimes the police has to take action because they're being complained. Um, and a lot of it comes from prostitution rings. A lot of it is to do with the pimping. So the Singapore law allows women to uh have sex work, but pimping is strictly illegal. So by busting these prostitution rings and going after
Right.
the pimps, that's the way the Singapore government or the police force has been trying to enforce the law. So very often these women are not charged. Unfortunately, they will be sent home. Yeah. But the pimps are the ones who get they get arrested, they sit in jail, they get fined. So good on that. But when it comes to them raiding trans brothels, that's when the media picks up everything and goes
Right.
like what I said, yeah, oh, 12 males dressed as women were arrested on the like in the house or blah 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 whatever shit. Yeah. So so
Okay.
prostitution is legal. You can see a lot of people walking the street sometimes. But most of it has now gone online. So Telegram, Twitter, Instagram at times as well. Yeah, so I do get bookings from Instagram. I do get bookings from my Twitter where they email me and oh yeah, okay, and then we'll set some stuff up because I'm also a pro dom in real life back in Singapore. Yeah.
20 questions here, but let's get off politics. In
Mm-hmm.
Singapore, is the educational system like America, where you go first to eighth grade and then you have 4 years of high school and then college, or is it different?
Pretty much, yes. You have elementary and middle school. And after that, you get a choice whether you go to vocational college or you continue with high school. Yeah. So if you go to a vocational college, you take 3 years. So after middle school, you should be 16. Um, and you spend either 3 years in a vocational college, and that gets you a diploma. If you spend 2 years in high school, the plan is that you take the next 6 years of high school and college to get your degree. Yeah. So in Singapore, everything is taught in English, except your okay. So what we get, we have to take two languages. So you have to study English because every single subject is taught in English. And then you have your ethnic language. So for me, I am Chinese. I learned Mandarin. If you have someone who's Malay, they will be learning Bahasa Melayu. If this is the tricky part. Now, if you have someone who's Indian of Indian one of the Indian ethnicities, sometimes it's difficult because in the normal schools, you would have a teacher who teaches Tamil, and that would be the only Indian language taught in schools because the majority of the Indian population is Tamil from South India. And then what about the rest of the people who speak Hindi, who speak Malayalis, who speak Urdu, or yeah, where do they go? So some of them learn Tamil, but some of them actually go to a special school, which is a language center where you have different teachers teaching them once or twice a week. Yeah, so in some sense, it's more difficult for those students if they are not as well to do or they don't speak as often at home. Because usually you get 3 or 4 lessons a week. Yeah, so almost every other day you get a language lesson of about an hour and a half. Yeah, and then when you get to middle school, yeah, it's people get to pick a third language. If they think you can handle two languages, you get a third language. And also the other question is what about the whites? Because in Singapore the racial makeup's a lot of Chinese, Malay, Indian, and they lump everyone else as other. So most of the whites, most of the people who intermarry, if your dad or your mom's white, then what do you learn? because English is technically your ethnic language too, you know? Yeah, so some of them will choose French, some of them will choose Spanish. So you kind of get to pick and choose if you're someone who's an outlier in some
Right.
way.
In elementary school, did you have a
Hmm.
favorite subject?
Did I have a favorite subject in elementary? I've always been a musician. I guess music was my favorite subject. But in elementary school, I think okay, the subject I hated the most was actually Mandarin. Not because I didn't speak it, but because I had to do it so much and I had a very traumatic experience when I was in second grade. Yeah, so my mom actually is a Mandarin teacher in elementary school. Not in my elementary school, but an elementary school Mandarin teacher. So it was very stressful learning Mandarin at home. Because I mean there's that pride and compounded if you're Asian. Um, and so I in second grade we have spelling and we have spelling and there's this thing where you're supposed to memorize a phrase and they test your memory of that phrase. So you have like 15 words you have to spell well, and then a phrase that you're supposed to regurgitate from memory. So I studied so hard for that, and I knew I was going to get like full marks for that. So the teacher was dictating the words really slowly. So I was panicking because I wanted to do this well. I wanted to say like, "Hey, mom, look, I achieved this." So I stupidly wrote the memorization phrase on my hand. So as a teacher, so this teacher, okay, Chinese teachers of back in those days were very strict. They expected you to leave gaps um, properly. They expected you to not cancel. So they wanted everything to look prim and proper. So I couldn't just leave extra lines and just write out the line at the bottom because we did that before and we were scolded. Like you left too many lines, so you wrote this while we were having the segment, so you cheated, kind of thing. So it was quite complicated back then. So in order to like just jog my memory, I wrote a few of the important like words of that phrase you had to memorize on my hand. And when the teacher had finished all the 15 spelling words, I was like, yes, I'm gonna get this like perfectly. So I started writing, I looked at my hand, I was like smiling to myself, and the teacher walked up, grabbed my hand, started caning my hand, and that was one of the turning points, and that made me hate Mandarin for pretty much the rest of my schooling life. Yeah.
At that point in your life, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
No. I always said I wanted to be a pastor because I grew up in a conservative Christian family. Um, I always tell people like, yeah, I want to go. I knew I wanted to travel because I wanted to be a pastor. I wanted to be a missionary. Yeah. So maybe traveling has always been in my heart. Then as I grew up, I was like, okay, maybe I don't want to, be a pastor. Maybe I want to be a musician because I then got really good at music. Um, and eventually it just happened that, yeah, when you grow up around like in a whole family of teachers. So my brother is also a teacher, my dad's a teacher, mom's a teacher, brother's a teacher. And since I'm the second born, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll go teach music too. Yeah, so I taught music and physics in middle school um before I transitioned. Yeah.
When you did music or you wanted to be a pastor, was it for the attention or the fact that
Oh,
you'd be out in public, you'd be in front of everybody and they'd be noticing you and all of that? Or did you generally like
um,
creating music and
I like both. Yeah, I love performing. I like the whole music experience. I like creating music. Um, so I used to teach like music writing as well. And yeah, I felt that I guess it goes hand in hand. Like naturally as you get good at music, you like to perform. And so the attention as well. I wouldn't say no that it wasn't because of that. So yeah, like probably like 60, a strong 60% or 70% of it was about performing as well and the recognition. Yeah.
in the high school part? Were you popular? Were you a loner? Were you a geek, a
Oh,
nerd?
wow. In high school, I was extremely popular. Um, I it was quite surprising that people knew my name. People would see me on stage. People would know me as I was flamboyant even then. Not very flamboyant, but I kind of broke the norms. Like people would wear gym shorts, I would be wearing FBTs, and I'd say, I don't care. This just makes me run faster. It's lightweight. It runs. I'm cool with it, and people just accepted it. That yeah, like he's different, And I yeah, like I was no longer bullied in high school. In elementary and middle school, I was bullied quite a lot because I was soft. I was different. Yeah, but in middle school, so it just like when I was 10, I realized that I was different from like the rest of my peers. And then I got caught wearing my mom's clothes. And the Christian thing that comes on
Yeah.
you and the teaching. And so I thought, yeah, this is wrong. I should not do this. So I put myself through conversion therapy. Tried to pray the gay away. I swung to the other side where I was extremely homophobic, extremely transphobic, and I tried my best to um like learn like how to be a man, how to be masculine. And I mean, obviously that didn't work out. So in high school, that was the time where I was trying the hardest. As much as there was that someone commented that yeah, yeah, there are definitely like guys who are metrosexual, and I just felt that like yeah, I kind of fit that bill. Like I would bother about how my skin was, um how I dressed, how I looked, whether things were tailored better to fit me and things like that. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty much I was popular in high school.
But popular at the boys or popular at the girls? Or both?
Girls, top popular with the girls. The guys would be friendly. The guys would acknowledge you. Like you had some street cred. Yeah, but yeah, the girls were the ones who were like, "Oh, hi," like so it was nice. It was nice, and when you kind of get to choose a girlfriend for yourself, kind of thing, it felt good in some sense. Yeah, but there was definitely the, oh my God, this person is such a player, because when you're overcompensating for the sake for the fact that you're not masculine, and everything is you trying so hard. Yeah, it kind of is that way.
But with the girls, did you know that you had that much of an effect? And were you looking for a specific type of person? Do you know what a cock tease is?
Yes.
Would
Yeah.
you have considered yourself a cock tease at that point?
Like, would I consider myself? Wow. Like a tease to the girls? No, I don't think I was. Yeah,
But
I
it
was
seems,
just
I'm sorry to
uh,
interrupt you.
no, no.
It seems like you could have had your pick of any girl you wanted. And sometimes, I don't know if you did or did not, but sometimes you would dress one way specifically to get one person's attention versus another person's. And you may not have liked that person, but you liked the attention.
Um, I I actually didn't have that in me because I knew that in some sense I knew it was not ethical. Yeah, I didn't like leading people on. I guess as much as the attention was nice, I was very outright like just saying like thanks, yeah, we can be friends, and yeah. So in
And
that sense, I didn't lead girls on. Yeah, so
but
I wasn't just a tease.
were some of the boys mad at you because their girlfriends were checking you out or giving you more attention?
Uh no, I don't think so. Yeah, because I knew the people that I didn't like. Yeah, and for me, like being extremely Christian back then, monogamy and not cheating on people, that was a huge thing. So the moment I knew like someone was attached, I would distance myself in that sense and not be as close to that person. Yeah, so I was
But
ethical.
when you mentioned you had a strict Christian upbringing, were you sexually
hmm
active in high school?
Ah, um, I fooled around, yes. But we I know I actually never had sex. Like I never had penetrative sex with anyone because there was always this, I'm gonna save myself for marriage. But let's fool around. Let's make out. And yeah.
Was there oral sex or did you do hand
Oh
jobs or
yeah,
do
there
anything?
was there was oral sex, there were hand jobs and yeah, but there was no like penis in vagina or penis in ass kind of thing. Yeah.
Did you do you remember the first time you saw something adult related? A magazine, a movie?
Yes. Um, so this was an R21 movie called Original Sin. It was just a poster, and that was the first time I had this sexual awakening where I saw, oh my God, that guy's hot, the girl is hot. But wait, I'm not supposed to be thinking that the guy is hot. Yeah, but the girl is hot, yes. And it was Angelina Jolie. If I'm not wrong, it was Angelina Jolie, yeah.
Like the first time you saw a porn film, an adult film.
The first time I saw an adult film, I was like, oh, the guys in my class were able to get their hands on a clip of a gangbang. And so they were passing the laptop around, watching it, and I caught a glimpse of it, and I was like, what the hell are they doing to the girl? And I'm like, okay. But to me, it was normal in that sense. Like, okay, they just look like they're doing stuff to each other. Um, like I had started like of course playing with myself, masturbating,
Yeah.
and but to me it was, oh, it's just people enjoying themselves. It's nothing dirty, it's nothing extremely exciting. And I then started exploring and realizing that reading was more exciting for me. Listening was more exciting for me. So back then in the days where like internet was dial up, like
No.
sometimes the visuals of the porn wouldn't load, but the audio would go on. And I'll be like, hey, this is still pretty exciting. Like I can like kind of imagine like what's going on. And yeah, so that was like, oh, this is nice. Yeah, but the visuals sometimes don't excite me as much. Yeah,
When,
but yeah,
I'm sorry, when you heard or saw an adult film, did the thought ever
yes,
cross your mind that I could do that?
yes, yes. Okay, it wasn't the first time. So interesting story. I've always been excited by rope bondage. So it started with me chancing upon an impact website. So impact is when people get spanked, people get hit with implements and whatever else.
No.
And to me, it was like, this is wrong. How can you be hitting women? It's like, so for me, immediately I rejected that genre of porn. But continuing down that whole rabbit hole, I chanced upon Japanese rope bondage. And that to me was so beautiful. I was like, wow, you can portray someone in such a seductive, in such a sexual way, but still make it artistic and beautiful. Um, and it just resonated so much with me. Then the then the rigger started beating the girl. And I was like, no, this is but yes, but no. And so the conflict kind of pushed me into this research, this discovery. And I was like, yeah, I love this and I understand. Like, because when you start learning about consent, when you start learning about how physiologically, the impact triggers certain things, you get dopamine, you get endorphins, and all this kind of chemicals release. And like, okay, as long as this person is okay with it, that looks cool. And in some sense, it also resonates with that, primal kind of feeling that a lot of people have. So it was really good. And when I chanced upon like, so I recently shot with
Yeah.
King.com. It's a dream come true. Like it's a dream come true. So back then when I chanced upon kink and I saw like hog tied, when I saw sex and submission, where JP John Paul, the Pope, started doing. Oh, I met him today, and I was like, it was literally a fangirl moment. I cannot, I cannot describe the feeling. Yeah, just seeing him in the green room and just like talking to him. I recounting this story too. Yeah, so when like back then I was still a guy and I saw his work on Hogtied and Sex and Submission, and I was like, I want to do this. Like, I would love to do this. I mean, I started like taking photos of my own work, like with the girls, and it was always like, okay, we'll censor the face, and we'll make sure that we capture you like without like maybe like from the neck down and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was beautiful, like exploring angles and like how to picture the feminine form in an artistic, sensual, sexual way. Yeah. And when I saw those movies, I was like, yeah, this could be something I would love to do. But unfortunately, I was a teacher, so I was like, yeah, no, I'll do it in my private life. Yeah,
Mm.
and fast forward to today, like 10 years later, I am doing this shit on camera now as a
Um,
girl on a guy.
but
It's lovely. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, no,
In
no.
terms of
Yeah.
female sexuality, are you a submissive
Mhm.
person?
Oh, I am very dominant. I am a switch, very dominant. Um, for the camera, I am very happy playing both roles. Yeah, so um, I love like I love taking as much as I give. And when I trust the people I film with, yeah, I would be very happy to like take. I have not really done a scene where it has translated in BDSM, but on vanilla sex, on like rough sex, spanking, choking, sure, all those is very vanilla, very normal. And but to have someone actually maybe tie me up, do a little more protocol play, harder bondage, impact. I haven't found a person who pushes me to that point where I say, yeah, I'm gonna switch. So
But
BDSM wise, I'm still very dominant. Sorry, I cut you off. Yes.
no, it's okay. It
Yeah.
when you're being submissive, is it turn on for you that you're giving up control?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So I am a switch. So I like taking control. I like giving up control. It's just who. And till I find that person, yeah.
Are you talking about in your personal life or on screen?
Oh, both, both. You have to trust the person that you're giving up control to. On screen, like if it's like a professional shoot, you don't have to be extremely. I'm gonna spoil it for like the people who are not in the industry. Like sometimes porn stars don't get extremely turned on by what they're shooting. It's
Yes,
just yeah, it's just
yes.
the truth. Yeah, so sometimes when you don't get extremely excited by things, you just have to continue in that sense because yeah, it's your job. Hi, like you're being paid to do this as much as it can be enjoyable. Sometimes it's not all enjoyable. So sometimes you just have to go, yeah, well, I'll still make it happen.
Yeah.
Just maybe 40% of what I would have enjoyed, or 60%. Yeah. But everything is still within your boundaries. Everything is still like safe. And yeah, it's enjoyable to some extent. Yeah. I
But
guess to some people who they that's why I believe that mentorship is quite important. And I do see some groups like coalition of people and like people who have been doing podcasts, people who have been
right,
talking about their experiences. And
yes,
I think these are very valuable for anyone who's young, who's new, who wants to step into the adult industry. Um, you really have to understand that as much as there are perks, it is still, like you mentioned, a job, and everyone has to do hard work. You don't get to pick and choose as often. Um, sure, if you're independent, if you are a freelancer, which most of us are, you get to pick, but it just means that you won't get if you don't show that you're reliable, if you don't show that you have what it takes, if you don't show that you can turn up, like show up and like, let's go.
right.
Yeah, it's a trouble. Um, people will people will not trust you. People don't see you as someone who is worth bringing back. Yeah, and with it complicates it because now with all the fan sites and like if you're just looking at wanting to be popular, um the adult industry does run parallel in some sense, but there's a
But
limit to what you can achieve. Yeah, so I totally agree and see like, I yeah, like how you explained it. It's
you
true.
know,
In some sense, it is a zero-sum game. To people, to cis girls, it's very much a zero-sum game because it's oversaturated. But to the men, to the trans women, things should be a lot more collaborative because if you are a niche, there is no point trying to see a lot of people can also believe differently, especially if it's a niche. But I think if you're a niche, you stand more to gain by being collaborative rather than um, you know, just uh to compete and be the biggest, like to have the biggest share of the pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it works in different circles in some sense. Yeah.
You bring up a point that we've always discussed. Trans material has always been a popular niche. It just seems like it's growing more mainstream now. And
Yes.
you have more mainstream actresses who are, how do I stay out of trouble? Who are comfortable working with trans people. Is that
More
a nice
willing,
way?
yes.
Is that a nice way to say that? So,
Willing, yes. But I still think this whole stigma of crossover is still very much affecting male talents. Um, the cis women, I don't think it's ever affected cis women. Yeah. Because just that people, I think cis women now knowing that trans porn is profitable, they will capitalize. But society and the whole industry still needs to believe that there is no difference in male talents who cross over. And there should not be the stigma at all against the LGBT community because everyone gets tested. There is no, oh my God, you are more likely to, spread diseases and blah, blah, blah.
no,
We all have the same tests. We're all doing, in fact, we're more worried because we are the community that has had the most shit thrown at us for STIs. Yeah. So this stigma should stop. Hopefully it stops and people just get more accepting of everyday facts that, like, hey, trans women are hot, trans women are women,
I'm
and
kind of
there's
lucky.
nothing wrong shooting with trans women. Yeah.
But crossover aside, why do you
Mm-hmm.
think trans material has always been popular and it's never waned in its popularity?
People are attracted to femininity in any form. It's not so much just the genitals, and it's even more fascinating because um I would just say people think that, hey, um this is a unique girl. Like, she's different. She can also do what, like, as a man, like thinking like, oh, she can also do what I'm doing. And it's hot. Like, to like the male fantasy, of course, is what? Having like a threesome with two girls or something like that, right? And knowing that, hey, you have a girl who's special, who's different. Like, I can see both girls making out, I can see both girls playing with their boobs, and I can actually see both girls fucking each other. And then I can join in and fuck them. So I think there's always that appeal for like trans content in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, well, very quickly, in high school,
Hmm.
did you graduate? And if you graduated, did you go to college after that, or what was your
Yes, I
next
did.
step?
Yeah, I graduated with a degree in education. So I degree in music education. So I that's when I started teaching music at middle school. Yeah, music and physics at middle school.
At, at what point in that part of your life did you decide to transition? Did something happen to you? Did you?
Oh. um so every Singaporean male has to go through 2 years of like national like conscriptions, like conscripted. How do you explain it? Conscription, yeah, pretty much just conscription. So um I had to do those 2 years. And I auditioned to be in the band. And funny thing was that the band has been a place where they throw people who are effeminate, the men who are like, oh, they're like, we're gay or we are effeminate, we know we're gonna be trans and stuff. And so for me, I was a little irked by it, but I loved music, so I didn't care. I would be like, I'm standing on my morals and stuff. But this staff sergeant was like, yeah, this one, like they were doing a kind of game where they were saying like who's in the closet and stuff like that. And so when it came to me, this staff sergeant was like, this one, but not yet. So it's like somehow this staff sergeant knew that I was going to be part of the LGBT community in some way. And it only happened when I was almost out of the army, when I started seeing that, hey, Christianity is weird because as much as I believe in God and like the whole, how do you put this? I believe in the message that Christianity brings, the hope that Christianity brings. But the way the church has been using this and abusing the power has been the thing that turned me off. Like it turned me off the most. And when I got the brunt of that abuse of power, so that was at the end of my army life. And in the first year of like varsity in college, I was like, something's wrong. And I went on this 1 year of like soul searching in that sense. I went on this year of like figuring out a religion, like which religion is the true religion then. Unfortunately, I came back to Christianity, but so it was not it's a, I'm against the church. I'm against the way the church controls power. I'm getting somewhere, sorry. And when I finally so I continued masquerading down like as a guy, but fully accepting that I was bisexual. So when one it finally came down to a day, okay, so I am in my mid. Dude, do I want to tell people my age?
You don't have to if you don't want to. It's totally up to you.
Okay, it came to a point, one of a major milestone moment of like, I am kind of happy with my life. I am sort of embracing um my femininity. I am embracing some part of my masculinity, but it the question always came back. Like the moments when I was 10 always came back. Why did I why did I enjoy um dressing up in my mom's clothes? Why did it just feel more comfortable? Why was I better? Why did I feel um and not sexually, but why did I feel a sense of sisterhood like when I hung out around women? Like a lot of men when they hang out around women is very sexual. For me, it's I want to know more about what you're doing as a woman, you know? So I always thought guys thought like that. And, the thought of like, oh, if only I didn't have like a penis, if I had a vagina, what are these two balls doing here? Like I don't feel right. Like, I wish that they could disappear. I hate it. Yeah, so this whole like the whole dysphoria thing, fortunately I was able to like suppress it. Like it wasn't extremely terrible, the whole dysphoria thing. And when it came to that point, that major milestone, and I was like, am I truly happy with my life? Can I continue living the next 20, 30 years of my life just being my male self without discovering if I should have transitioned? So this also comes on the back of like having traveled to Thailand, making friends with the trans women there, and realizing that, hey, I am not just attracted to you. I resonate with you a lot stronger. So in 2019, I went back to Thailand. And I was like, hey, this time, I'm not just here, like, we're not just going out on dates and, like partying. And I don't want to be seen as someone who's just like dating you. I want you to help me with this discovery. So bring me out, go shopping with me, do my makeup, buy clothes. Um, Let me see if this is the right path for me. And they were so happy because it's like inducting like a new sister into womanhood. And that was the happiest 1.5 weeks of my life. And I knew I had to come back and do something. So March of 2020, before COVID-19 was crazy and rampant, I saw a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist was like, yeah, um, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to start transitioning? What's your decision here? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I transitioned through COVID, so 2020 till now. And it was kind of easy then because all I needed to do was do eye makeup and wear like a face mask. And fortunately I was passable back then without, just with a mask. It's just extremely tall. Yeah, and so that was how everything just started.
Do you go to your parents and explain to them? How did they find out that you're going to do this?
Oh, so I didn't really explain much. I live I live with my dad. I lived with my dad. My mom um lived with my brother because my brother has 3 kids and they are a handful. Like he's a single parent, and so just like they're both retired. So my dad's home occasionally in the afternoons. He will go over and take care of the kids too. But my mom's the one who really loves the kids, and so she was like, "Yeah, I'll help you. I'll come live with you and take care of the kids too." And so my dad was the one who always saw like what I was up to, and he's the one who's been funnily he's the one who always wanted a daughter. My mom, so my brother and I were 10 years apart. My mom unfortunately fell down in the shower and miscarried my sister. So it was supposed to be a 5-year kind of gap. That was their plan. My brother, 5 years, my sister, and then 5 years, me. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and my dad was extremely traumatized and all of that, and always loved like daughters. So when my brother had like my niece, oh my God, he spoiled her. And it was funny, like to think that he would accept me because like, hey, hello, now you have a daughter. Uh, but no, he was the one who was the most against my transition. Yeah, and um he was always critical about it while I was transitioning, like in 2020 and 21. He would always our communication actually broke down because every time I would try to like talk to him about just normal things in life, he would be extremely religious, extremely critical. Um, it was painful talking to him. Yeah, and finally he threw me out of the house, and I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Yeah. So my mom, I guess it's a thing about women and mothers. She was extremely loving, and she was like, I don't know, I don't understand. I don't support it in that sense because religion, but I love you. So that was precious. To me, that was very precious. Unfortunately, my brother too has also stopped communicating with me. So I only talk to my mother. Yeah.
And for you, the actual transition, was it harder physically or psychologically?
Physically or psychologically? I think it starts psychologically. And like when you it's very interesting because like the whole problem of gender dysphoria is your mental and your physical like not being congruent. So I don't think you can say that one thing is devoid of the other. It was definitely not a sexual thing that I chose to transition. It was very much I feel happy that I see myself like how I should have seen myself. Yeah, so I was not like when I was 10, like putting on my mom's clothes was not a sexual thing. But I just felt happy about it. I was like, wow, this is so pretty. Why can't I wear this? Yeah, and so I is it physical? Is it mental? I think it's both. Um, and I think women do feel sexy about themselves when they are confident about how they look. But is it is it is it a cross dressing? Is it a fetish? I I don't think so.
And
Yeah.
I'm guessing the transition's finished. Do you start, in a sense, a new life, or do you still stay in touch with the people from before?
Oh, um, for me, there was fear of having the people from before because they were mostly religious, conservative people, and also the people who are like a lot of work uh teachers. Like so like associating with them was gonna be difficult. So there are a few people from that past life who have continued with me. They are my college mates who we stuck together. Um, because we were just living in like varsity housing together. So there was that bond that was not religious nor work related, but really just friends. There's a bunch of people from the music scene that has still stuck with me. Um, there are some Christians and there are some teachers who have acknowledged and they're just like, wow, oh, you're really brave for taking this step and things like that. I think the bunch of people that have been the most affirming and the most loving to me is my dance community. So I do a couple social dance called West Coast Swing. And unfortunately, unfortunately, I did mask like what I was doing and how the transition was taking place. And but eventually they like it's always the fear that like a bunch of people that you care about is not going to care about you, and so you have to like kind of toe that line. But when they came up with full support, and I was like so touched about it. Yeah, and Like these are the people that I consider my family now. Like yeah, like my dance group back in Singapore. Yeah, in fact pretty much the whole international dance community, people who do West Coast swing, especially in the US, like California. That's why I love LA so much because the best post transition like that like like um okay, so what happened then was that um it was my first time out of the country presenting as a trans woman. So like having my passport changed and all of that, like the picture changed. Unfortunately, in Singapore, my passport and my ID still says M, like it's sex, not gender. So um I I was like, you know what? I don't care. Like physiologically, yes, I am still male in that sense. Yeah, and if a doctor needs to do any examination, he needs to know that I have I was born male, you know? Yeah. So but coming like from that society that hides you away, that doesn't really acknowledge you, doesn't put you in a positive light, um, you feel marginalized, you feel afraid, and you lose that sense of humanity. But coming to the US for that dance competition, people were warm, people were friendly, people were loving, and it felt weird to that to like there was a point where it felt weird that I had to say, "Hey, you guys know that I'm trans, right?" And the bunch, so we were sitting down, like just chilling, and the bunch of people who were there were like, "Yeah, so." And at that point, that was so heartwarming. It made me feel like a person again. Yeah, so it was it was an experience. Like just having someone acknowledge my humanity again, yeah, that was precious. So I love this dance community. Yeah, they are family.
Had,
Yeah.
have you run into any of the girls you dated before?
Yes, actually, yes. One of them. So this is the person that stuck with me. One of my music friends. Yeah, and she was like, "Oh my God, I could not tell. I would never have known." Yeah, and then interestingly, down like a few years later down the line, she's like, "Hey, you know I used to have a brother. Yeah, she's my sister now. Can you give her some advice?" I was like, this is hilarious. Yeah. So, well, yeah, that ex-girlfriend, she's still a friend and precious. Yeah, very precious.
And you transitioned while you were teaching, correct?
Yes, the last year I was teaching. So I kind of told myself that I knew I couldn't teach anymore because of like Singapore society. So I was really fearful about job security and all that stuff. And so, yeah, like that was the last year I was teaching.
So how do you get in the adult business then? How does that come up?
Yeah, so it was OnlyFans first. Yeah, so when I transitioned, um, there was there was the one to affirm my gender. So I started posting pictures on Twitter and getting the traction, getting the attention in that sense. And people say, "Oh, you're so beautiful," and things like that. And that was really affirming in a society where, you know, there like people say like, "Oh, you're disgusting, you're what the hell are you doing?" Like, "Oh, you being sissy cross-dresser." And that was, yeah, that was really affirming to have like the international community say like, hey, yeah, you're beautiful. And then people started asking like, oh, do you sell pictures? Like, would you do a video for me? And that was when I was like, oh, maybe I don't have to worry so much about job security.
Right?
Like maybe the adult industry could be a thing, Yeah. Unfortunately, I was still very worried because, like, hey, I'm Singaporean and I don't know how this is going to go. Am I going to get into trouble? Things like that. So everything was hush hush. I didn't show my face back then. And this was when I started my OnlyFans. So the last year I was teaching, I started my OnlyFans. It was easy to hide in some sense because no one would expect a male presenting teacher to be like a trans woman, Yeah. And it went well. Um and one day um it was just a so the first person who noticed me was Groovy, and it was a conversation where like, okay, send me some more of your pictures, and I was like, okay, here are the pictures, this is my face. And Steven was like, yeah, you look great, if you come to the US we'll shoot you. I'm like, oh, okay, hey, this is my first step in the door, first foot in the door thing. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride since then, but I do hope like things get even better for me as time goes.
Okay. You were raised in a strict Christian upbringing. How
hmm
interesting, weird, difficult was it for you to shoot explicit material for OnlyFans?
Oh, it's very difficult. Yeah. Everything had to be really hush hush. Um, like it was easy to do it in the evenings, in the late afternoon and evenings, especially because like during COVID, um, we were all like working from home and stuff like that. Yeah, but my dad would go over to my brother's place, to take care of the kids too. And fortunately, I had the space to myself then, and I could shoot my own videos and all that stuff. Yeah, so uh, I I was fortunate enough, I guess, in some sense, that I had times like pockets of moments where I could film as much content as I could, uh, at least for the next 1 or 2 weeks, and then figure out again when I could shoot more stuff. Yeah.
Okay, but hush hush aside, was it was there a sense of you being naughty, or was it interesting for you to be able to film yourself doing explicit things? Forget what your family thought. You personally, was it a turn on for you to do that? Was it exciting for you to know people really touching themselves to you when you took these photos? Was all of that?
Uh, it was it was exciting knowing that someone was going to like I was turning someone on. Yeah, so it did have that it did have those moments as well. Yeah, for me it was I love to perform, and to be to get the recognition and to be appreciated for it. Yeah, that's great. And if I make you come, hmm yeah, so in that sense, yes.
So,
It was fun. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Being a creative person, how
hmm
much different was it for you making music as opposed to making adult material?
Oh, wow. Um, hmm. I think I think there is that um how different is it? I think being in the adult industry is a lot less creative. Oh, no, no, not so much a lot less creative. It's a lot less, what's the word to use? It's a lot less about the creator being allowed to do whatever the hell they want, and more so to be marketable for a commercial lens, if you put it that way. Um, like you still want to make porn that appeals to an audience. But in music, a lot of musicians can get away with just doing whatever the hell the musician enjoys doing.
Yeah.
Because in porn, the rest of the adult industry does not watch you. But in the music industry, a lot of the rest of the musicians want to watch you because they appreciate the creative process. Um, Not so much the product that you've created, but the process that you go through to create that product.
Right.
But it seems like in the adult industry, people are interested in the product rather than the uh creative process. Yeah, so that to me is the difference, I'd say. I think maybe in visual art it might be similar. So if you look at a painting, a lot of people look at the finished, like the finished product. They look at the concept, the idea, and the emotive, the interpretation of the product. But people don't often see the process, or they don't focus as much on the process of creating the work. Yeah, so only people who really study or people who are part of the industry want to know the creative process, either because they appreciate the process or they find inspiration from the process. But to the consumer, yeah, it's a lot about the product. So I I'd say it's a lot less what the creator wants and more the what is the trend, if you put it that
Yeah.
way, or what are people's tastes and preferences. Yeah, so that's probably the difference, but everything else is, yeah, I think it's the same. It's about showing off. It's about like putting yourself out there, your confidence, the talent, how much you're enjoying yourself, um yeah, and how personable you can be to whoever is watching. Yeah.
And from the early parts when you started doing adult material, was there any sense of rebellion for you? Because you grew up repressed and now you've got the chance to just go for it in a sense. Did you
Rib-
really rebel? A lot of times when I was an altar boy, I know exactly what you're talking about with Christianity.
mm-hmm.
I completely. And when I first started dabbling in adult stuff, it was such a thing in the other direction. It was such a sense of freedom, and it was a sense of like you can really like do this, and there's no problem.
Okay, I get what you mean. Yeah, I think it shows in whatever I do. Like a lot of things people find disgusting, I'm like, yeah, why the hell not? Let's do it. You know? Yeah, think the only things that I really don't do are like using needles, um, like scat, very heavy bruises, because I know those things are as not as sellable and not as marketable, like for the general audience. But I'm happy doing golden showers, giving golden showers, receiving golden showers, having two dicks in my ass, going ass to mouth. Yeah, if it means I have to like gag and almost I hope I don't vomit, but to like make all those gagging sounds and almost waterboard myself
Yeah.
with my saliva, things like that. I'm totally fine with that. And maybe like what you say, that's like, wow, that's so extreme. And maybe it comes from that repression that we grew up with. Um, yeah, probably it might be. Who knows?
And to be successful on platforms like OnlyFans,
Hmm.
for you, is it more about personality or people want to see you do sexual things?
I still have not figured out how to unlock like my niche yet. So very often it's a lot about being personable. Like especially when you have fan sites. Yeah, people want to see you. People want to know the person they're interacting with is you, is genuine. Yeah, is genuinely you. So um I don't create a persona so much on social media. It's really just me and the different facets of me. Yeah, until I figure out what that niche is that I should focus on. I think it's pushing me in the way of being a very dommy, strong trans women, probably in that direction. But yeah, yet to discover like what it is. But yeah, people like knowing that it's a real person behind whatever you're doing.
And you do custom videos?
I do. Yeah. Some people request for it, and some people just want to see the action. Yeah.
What, what's the craziest request you got for a custom video?
The craziest request. The craziest request was playing with different colored um goo slash shampoos and like just having like sex, like just pleasuring myself with all the different colors. That was the not so much the weirdest, but the most interesting request that I ever got. Yeah,
And how did you get into doming? How did you discover that? It seems like you genuinely enjoy it. So,
I do. I love it. I've always been, I guess I just fit that role when I started getting into BDSM as a guy. Like I was never someone who was like, oh, like she's a powerful, strong woman or he's a powerful, strong man. Um, it was more of a, I want to be the powerful, strong person. Like I like taking control. I like someone else giving me power. Yeah. So, um, I then figured I realized that I enjoyed giving up power too when I found one of my mentors who she's then moved to France, got married. Yeah, we still talk occasionally over Telegram. um, but yeah, it's always even when she was my mentor, a lot of it was me wanting to learn what she did right so that I could do the same things or adapt what she did for myself. And in those sessions, then it then was a oh yeah, actually I do enjoy giving up some power at times to the right person. Yeah. So I guess I naturally fit into that role.
what are the misconceptions about being a dominatrix?
We always wear latex or leather. Like a dom has to. Like a dom can only be a dom if she owns latex or if she owns a corset or if she has leather. Yeah. As much
And
as it, uh-huh.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
As much as it fits that whole view, persona, that aesthetic. Yeah, a dominant woman can be anyone who you just respect and you just want to give power to. She can be wearing mom jeans. She can be wearing an oversized top. And there are so many dominant women holding slippers and flinging them at you, and that's your mom. Yeah, dominant women. So they don't always have to be wearing latex or leather. Yeah.
And for you, is there a specific niche of doming you do? Because some people say there's like financial doming and there's just different things. Do I have that right?
Yes, for me, it's mostly just the very traditional kind of um strict female. For me, not so strict, more I like being sensual. I like coercing the person to surrender. Yeah, because they know surrendering gives them brings them more enjoyment, brings them more pleasure rather than forcing them, like belittling them. Yeah, it's more I willingly give up control because I respect you, you are powerful, and I feel safe giving up that control to you. Yeah. So that kind of sensual that it makes me feel good to give you the reins. It allows me to turn my brain off. It doesn't belittle me. I am not a worm or I'm not pathetic, but it's yeah, you just willingly give the control and like I will listen to you. Yes, goddess, things like that. Yeah. So financial domination, a little bit of that. Mostly the sensual part. I can be very sadistic at times. Yeah, and I like throwing that into the mix at times just to see what like my subs can take. And it's really fun when it surprises them that they get into subspace. Um, so there's that unsure they come back the next time unsure of whether they want to, but because they've tasted it, they're like um more willing to embrace that side of it. Yeah. So I think it's always a spectrum of how much pain or pleasure you can take, and a blend of it gets you the best. Like, see, personalized, right? Everyone is different, and so which really gets you to the point where you're like, this is it. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my style of like domination.
And is it true about society's perception where you have a lot of people who are CEOs and stuff who I guess dominate people all day, then they seek out people like yourself so you can dominate them?
Some people, yes. Um, there is that there is that power dynamic. Yeah. There are obviously the people who are just floor mats, that have no they have no direction in life. Um they find that their purpose is to they think that their purpose is to just give up control and be of use to someone else. Um, there are also the people then that are powerful, confident in themselves, and they're like, I just want to give up control. Like I'm sick and tired of always having to make decisions. Please make the decisions for me now. Yeah, and there's that people. So it's not always like one type of people, but you just see that the other type of people who are more successful financially in terms of that, they are the ones who are spotlighted the most because they are the ones that the professional DOMs like because that's where the money is. Yeah.
And
But
most of,
uh,
I'm, I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you.
no, 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 no. Carry on.
Uh, the people you dom, are they more men than women? Is the
Yeah,
hierarchy damn a man or a woman? Is it?
a lot more men. I've only had two women who are willing to pay. But most of them have just been men.
But the women, is it a sexual thing? Is it what? Like a woman trying to dominate another woman? Is that like, the dynamics
It's
there seem to be different to me than with the man.
it's both. It's both. It's I don't know about other cis women, but the two women sought me out specifically because I was also trans. Yeah. So and a lot of men too, like they seek me out specifically, at least my side of the world, they seek me out specifically because I am a trans woman. They hope that um anal play will eventually lead to me penetrating them. Um, I don't promise any of that because, like, if it's a professional setting, don't expect that I will have any sexual contact with you. And so, so for the women, it was specifically because they wanted masculine energy from a woman, and they wanted someone who, I guess, in that sense, yes, also might want to penetrate them. And the discussion was very different from like discuss the discussions I had with the men. So, um, yeah, it's a bit of both, but very much still very much more the emotional connection that it seemed, yeah, that it was what they were looking for.
And for sake of discussion, if you're with a man and there
Mhm.
is anal penetration, in that situation, is that done from a power perspective or a sexual perspective? Am I making sense?
That's a very good question because it would be both. For me, it would be a more power than sexual. And I think for the men, it's definitely more sexual. Yeah. There is still that power. Yeah, but a lot more the sexual for them. Yeah.
And being a dom, if you ever, for the sake of an hour, decide to be a sub, is there any part of your brain that's saying like, okay, enough of me being a sub, I'm going to go back to being a dom?
um, it's been a long time since I've actually been a sub to someone in a BDSM scene. But I realized that like when I was submitting to my mentor, there were the moments where um I felt the primal urge to fight back and resist. And that actually made the whole scene more energized, more powerful. And that struggle for power was the thing that kind of kicked both of us higher in that sense. And then when I finally, at the end of that power struggle, gave up that power, that was the most exciting and euphoric moment for both of us. Yeah, so I think it's yet to be discovered of if I get sick of submitting. Because I mean, if you agree consensually to say like, yeah, I'm giving up power to you, you do want to fulfill that experience. So if like what you suggest happens, where it comes to a point where I'm where I go, yeah, no, I want to take back control. Then I know that that scene in some sense needs some relooking, or maybe it's me back to the drawing board and saying like, am I sure like I like being submissive, and things like that. But I think in vanilla sex, yeah, I do enjoy that, like, submitting. um it's almost like when it comes to just sex and like vanilla and like on the camera, yeah, it's pretty much almost 50-50.
And you mentioned with your mentor, the thing was euphoric. Was that euphoric in a sexual way? Euphoric in a power way? Euphoric what? Did it really turn you on that much that there was that much of a power
Yes,
struggle going
it
on?
did. It did. Yeah, it was both euphoric mental in a mental capacity where I felt like safe. I was brought to that subspace, and also like sexually charged. Yeah.
And you shot for Groovy.
Yeah.
Did you stay in America at that point and shoot? Did you go back to Singapore?
Oh, I go between. I still go between America and Singapore nowadays.
But I mean, but
Yeah.
the first time you did, I'm guessing the experience went very well when you shot with Groovy.
Oh, it was amazing. Yes. It was a very, very good experience.
At that point, do you decide I want to get more into the adult business, or do you go back to Singapore and think about it?
I knew what I was I knew what I was signing up for, and I knew the moment I walked in, there was no way to back out. Um, I don't think I really went back to reconsider, because I knew that moment was a confirmation in some sense that yes, this is this is a career, this is an industry that I would like to be part of. I have always had my toes in that sense, like creating individual, like, um amateur content in that sense, where I tie people up. I started my OnlyFans, I started Twitter, and if I'm going pro, I would want to do that. Yeah, and so I I think that 2021 November shoot that I did with Groovy was really confirmation that yeah, this is something I will work for. It hasn't been easy on my side of the world. But oh well, I hope things will go in a positive direction as time goes by. It's been going in a positive direction. Yeah, there are of course the ups and downs, but it's starting to look good, starting to look positive. Yeah.
And was it harder for your family for you transitioning, or for them? I'm guessing they know you're in this business.
They kind of know. Yeah, I've never told them or confirmed, but like, I don't hide. I've never hid anything really from them after I started embracing my sexuality. So after college, I was just myself. Yeah. So at home, um, like, my main form of BDSM is ropes, because that was the thing that got me really excited. I've been to Japan. I've learned a bit of rope from like uh one person where I really highly admire, and I hope I get to go back and like do more rope lessons with him. I don't think I can consider him my teacher, because like in Japan, like discipleship is a very different thing from what we consider as, oh yeah, attending a lesson and considering that person a teacher. It doesn't happen in Japan that way. So I had lessons with this person before, Naka Akira. Yeah, and I really admire and respect his work. And I since then, like picking up his book, um after college, I've hung up my rope for drying, to air my rope. I've made my own rope like in full view of like my whole family. And um like setting up a bamboo in the middle of the living room and things like that. Yeah, just for like suspension and stuff. They've seen it all. Yeah. Do they know that I am actually on film? I probably think they know because my dad has walked in on me with the camera and lights. So probably yes. But how far and how wide the reach is, I don't think they really know. Yeah, but mhm.
You you came to America and you had a euphoric experience with the dance troupe,
Mhm.
whatever. How much different was it when you came to America to get in the adult business?
Oh, it was actually the same trip. It was this exact same trip. And to so I went for the dance thing first, and then I had my shoots. So I was in LA, then I flew to Vegas the week after. And riding on that high was a high after that high. Where this is when had I first had an experience with a male talent, a guy who was happy to work with me, who was excited about working with me, and a director who was nothing but loving and caring and respectful. And it just further cemented that, like, I am worthy of being seen as a person, and like, society should not marginalize trans women, and I have good things to look forward to. And yeah, so I think it went hand in hand.
Was,
So
was this your first time experience the T Awards weekend?
yes, this year was my first T Awards.
What was that like for
Yeah.
you? It was
I have been to networking events. I have been to like different, like other industries. So I after leaving, like quitting teaching, I did do a 9 to 6 in another huge industry, and it didn't feel any different. But um I just felt, I think the experiences at home really change your view of yourself. Um, when you look at all the big names and the stars, and you're like, am I worthy of exchanging contact information with this person? Does this person actually want to work with me? You know, even if we plan, like, even if I, give you my number and stuff like that, we exchange contacts. Um, because like through the 3 years that I've been in and out of like the US, there are a lot of people who say that they will want to work with me, but when you press them to confirm like some stuff, they don't. And you're like, oh my God, do they actually want to work with me? Do I have anything that's worthy of, their, like, whether they want to work with me or not? So, coming into that industry event, it was like, I'm gonna try as best as I can. And I'm grateful that I've gotten to know people. I guess in some sense, I have made my mark in some way, and I'm very grateful. I honestly feel that a lot of these things, it is. it is through the kindness of the people who are ahead of you to give you these stepping stones to succeed. And I hope one day, if I do get successful enough, that I will give back to the people who are coming up and to say like, hey, I will do my best. I will give you the resources that I can afford to give you that boost, that head start. Like, it is hard work, but I will try my best to give you access. I will not like further marginalize you, kind of things. To give everyone equity in that sense, yeah, to make it equitable. Um, yeah, I still don't know where I am in this adult industry. If I am someone who is if I am someone who people want to watch, if I am someone who people think is uh enjoyable to work with. Yeah, but it was definitely a great experience being on stage, um presenting an award, like working with the people who have come my way, uh the friends that I have met. I know it's difficult because I am away, and I do hope that one day I can like be here or be in a place where the industry is alive and thriving like permanently in that sense. Yeah. So I think it's easier that way rather than and I know it's difficult because like someone who is here and then isn't here is like out of sight, out of mind at times, right? Yeah. So probably it's both. It takes two hands to clap. Yeah. So it's also on my part to see how I can be someone who's more permanent. Yeah. I don't know if there's that appeal that I'm like, oh, she's seasonal, so grab her while you can. I don't know if there's a way to do that, but yeah,
Real quick, when you shoot content, do you shoot what you want to shoot or stuff you think will sell?
both. Yeah, both. I I am I'm I'm someone who enjoys the collaborative process. So, if I will shoot stuff that sells better in that sense. And it's always hey, what do you think of this idea? Or do you have a better idea? What do you think we should do? Or should we just do the sex? Like, so there are these tried and tested things of like, oh, dress up, have a storyline, um, have sex in three positions, or do the BDSM, do the role play, do the free use content, do what is like um embarrassing, do what is voyeuristic. Yeah, and I guess in that sense, when I have a taste for every single thing and I'm like, oh, you want to do that? Sure, let's do that together. Yeah, so for me, there's what they want, like what the consumer wants is also what I want. So it's like I want to give you what you want, that kind of thing. Yeah. So to me, it's a balance in that sense. Maybe I'm different in that way.
No, but,
Yeah.
very quickly, social media. What are your social media
Hmm.
handles?
Oh, on Instagram, I am Aerie, IMMERAERIE, and on Twitter, I am Princess Aerie. Yeah,
And
Aerie. Yeah.
going back once, how active are you on social media?
Oh, I post once every day. Yeah.
Post
So
a dirty picture, post a funny picture, post what?
I post a reel every day on Instagram. Instagram has to be safe. On Twitter, sometimes it's a sexy photo, sometimes it's text. Very often I don't. On Twitter, I'm still trying to get rid of my shadow ban. So I don't know what to do with my Twitter. I used to post like one nude a day kind of thing. I think like things have to change up a little to be a little more mysterious, a little more teasing. Yeah, rather than just, hi, I'm here. This is me. Yeah, so if not, why subscribe to my OnlyFans
Right.
when
Why
everything's
would
there?
you pay for free?
Yeah.
No, what I would suggest is if we were to go back 90 seconds in this discussion and you were talking about different types of content and stuff, your
Mm-hmm.
face just lit up. You were happy and you were excited. If you can take that in a
Um,
non-sexual way and post it on social media, you'll become very popular very quickly.
as in,
The process of doing things, you're going to look at different colors, show people what goes into it before showing them it. If they want to see you, if you said something earlier about colors, you were having
mm-hmm.
sex in colors. Show me you going to the store if you're buying shampoos. Take me to the store. Show me you buying shampoos. Show me how you set that stuff up. And just be what you're doing now, where you're smiling and you're happy and it's authentic and it's real. And then if the people want to see the rest of it, they got to pay.
Okay,
Um,
interesting. Hmm.
what type of food do you like to eat?
Um, my favorite cuisine is Japanese. But my favorite food to cook is Italian. I like Chinese food, I like Thai food, I like Korean food. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I enjoy eating. Yeah.
If people want to book you for work, do you have an agent?
No, I don't. I'm independent myself, yeah.
Do you have an email you want to give out, not give out? Is there some place
Oh,
they should go? How does all that
um,
work?
sure. They can contact me on my social media or they can email me. I have a email address, bookings at aerierei.vip. Yeah.
We're in the first part of 2025. Do you have any goals for the rest of the year?
Oh, goals. Honestly, I don't know because I would say I have achieved some of the things that I really wanted to achieve. Being at the T's was one of them. Um, Shooting for King, that's another one. Um, I would say the next goal isn't so much an industry goal, but more of a my future, deciding what I want to do with my life. I I'm very passionate about dance, like my West Coast swing. And my friend in Thailand has been uh has been trying to build the dance scene there. And since I am one of the people who is not tied down by anything permanent in that sense
Right,
in
right, right.
Singapore, yeah, so I would like to explore helping her. Um, at least even if it's for just 1 month, like helping her with the dance scene there in Thailand. Yeah, so that's probably a goal I have to look forward to in July because that's the time I can do stuff. I do some activism things in the LGBT community back in Singapore. So Pride Month is going to be a huge thing. Um, the next thing I'm looking forward to dance wise is April when I get back. There's a huge local dance competition in Singapore for West Coast Swing, and the world is flying to Singapore. And it's amazing. It's one of the craziest dance events. a lot of people in the US um have attended it and said that it has the best energy. And I'm very proud to say that I'm a Singaporean contributing to the energy. And yeah, and in May we'll figure out how we can get yeah, we'll figure out in May um what of the adult industry is really for me. Yeah.
But in terms of the adult industry, what would you define as being successful?
Wow. Um, I think what I define as being successful is having people come up to you and say that, hey, I've watched your stuff since this time, and I love this thing that you do. And I guess if it's someone who actually pays, and it's even more um it's even more touching that someone really supports you monetarily and not just because they are leeching off that parasocial, you know, um thing that they have going on for themselves. And then I think within the industry, like just having people text to say, "Hey, when are you coming back? We really want to shoot with you. Can you come back like this time?" Or someone that says that, "Hey, we're going on this trip." Or I just introduced you to someone. I just gave them your contact. They're flying to Singapore, and yeah, I guess making a name for yourself in that sense, where you are a trusted person and like you are reputable in this industry. I think that's when you've made a mark in the industry. Yeah.
I think you want to say it all of your fans.
um oh I I'm very grateful that um like the people who have really supported me like since I started, like who have seen me through my short hair, my lack of boobs, having my boobs, who have seen me go through my relationships. Um, Thank you for sticking with me through thick and thin. Um, I hope I have brought you lots of joy, lots of entertainment. I hope you've laughed a lot. And to the people who are like discovering me, like I'm very happy to take you on this journey with me. Um, we have we've got lots of things to discover, and yeah, I hope you will enjoy the rest of my own self-discovery, like taking this journey with me. As much as I say it's like parasocial, but I do notice the people who actually make a difference in my life. Yeah. And there are some people who really have made that that move in a sense from just client to very much like the old way of saying this, patrons. Yeah, instead of just being clients, they are patrons. And they become they become friends who are willing to support me in whatever I do. Yeah. And yeah, I'm very grateful to those special people, and they know who I'm talking, like they know that I'm talking about them because they have made a mark on me, and I regularly talk to them and I share my life with them. Yeah. You know who you are. And I I'm very grateful for all of you. Yeah.